Tampa Bay defensive tackle Vita Vea wants out of Tampa Bay. And with some of those questions we have around Chicago, should the Chicago Bears make the call? We're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you got to hear the music first. What's going on, Chicago Bear fans, and welcome back into another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears. I'm your host here, Bobby. So if you're tuned in, love talking Bears football, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Bringing you all a interesting topic that we know a lot of you all are going to be talking about over the next few days until the saga surrounding Vita Vea has come to a conclusion, or whether that's being him getting traded out of Tampa Bay or those guys over there somehow reaching a deal to retain him. Now, Vita Vea, the reason behind the trade request is the normal thing that goes around the NFL. Guys want their money. Sometimes teams don't want to pay that money. So guys go out there and bang on the desk and say, hey, it's my money and I need it now. If you get what I'm saying. But just for the stat purposes, Vita Vea is somebody who last year in 2025 recorded 4.5 sacks, 16 solo tackles, along with 51 pressures. Now, Vita Vea could be looking around the league and saying, hey, there are some other guys that are defensive tackles that are receiving some money on. I'm set to make $18 million per year, while guys like Jeffrey Simmons is just re-upped on a contract, and he's set to make over $30 million a year. So we see the pay gap. 18 million for Vita Vea, 30 plus for a guy like Jeffrey Simmons. But there are factors that come into play when you really think about it. Vita Vea is 31 years old, while Jeffrey Simmons is just 28 and is on a 3-year deal. So in just 3 years, he'll be where Vita Vea is probably right now. But when we do listen and we see that guys went out there and requested some trades, we got to also include some of the rumors. So according to Jeremy Fowler, not only is Vita Vea looking for a new deal, trying to cash in that one last time, it is some reports that he only wants to look at California teams or the Raiders. So that throws a wrench into this. So if you're Ryan Poles, the biggest question is, do I still make the call? Do I still entertain something like this, considering that according to some rumors or maybe some statements from his representation, he only wants to go out west? Maybe he doesn't want to come up north from Florida to the Windy City. It's cold in the mud, big boy. But he is a big boy. But and a big boy like that, he might come to Chicago and be like, oh, this is Italian beef. Let me get one. Oh, this a gyro. I need that. Oh, we go get a gym shoe. What's a gym shoe? My Chicago people know about those Chicago food favorites. It is not just only limited to deep dishes and tavern style pizza, but we got a lot of options up here, big fella. I'm just saying. So now considering looking into Ryan Poles and trying to dive more deeper into this, it's just one of those things on how confident are you in this group? We can go all the way back until the draft and see how that went. Even before the draft, we're picking up guys like Gallimore, bringing in guys like Contavious Street, not really doing much inside of the draft. They did go and get Jordan Vandenberg, who they traded up for. So there might be some confidence there. And I understand that the Chicago Bears are really looking at Austin Booker and taking a leap this year based on what he did on the back half of last season. So will he make the call? To be honest with you, I don't know. Could there be some type of influence in this? Or a bigger question is, will Ryan Poles look at this situation and being another Grady Jarrett, trading for an older pass rusher, a defensive tackle, And that older player in Grady Jarrett going through some injuries last season and not really living up to the expectations or the hopes that the Chicago Bears organization had for him. He did get a little better the last few games of the season, but ultimately it probably was a little bit too late. And I also want to consider some of the inside guys that are already on the Chicago Bears. We already hearing some rumblings that we have a motivated Dayo Owendingbo coming back, and there might be a plan to have him play more inside and see if you can get something out of Austin Booker more on a frequent basis on the outside. So I think that should be something that's included in this discussion. The same thing could be said about Grady Jarrett. They coughed up some money to him, and they probably looking at Vita Vea and was like, man, you want 30 mil? That's something we probably are not going to be able to do, because financially, the Chicago Bears are going to be coming up on some tough decisions. We're talking about Darnell Wright going to be in the mix. We're talking about Caleb Williams being in the mix. And you don't have to pay Roman Dunze right now, but based off, let's say he has an amazing year this year, would you go to the table and try to lock him in early before the wide receiver markets get crazier years down the road? We just seen what Jackson Smith and Jigba got, and I'm not saying that Roma Dunze is that, but I think some of the smart GMs, they like to lock in the deals a little bit more earlier, because we know how wild it can get with waiting till a guy's contract is up. And then the biggest thing, and I need to know y'all thoughts on this, and I'm going to just keep it a buck. Javon Dexter. What is the temperature on Javon Dexter, ladies and gentlemen? Myself, the way I look at Javon Dexter, he's a good defensive tackle, not necessarily a great one. However, when you look at some of the numbers, they compare close to Vita Vea. Right now, I would say Vita Vea is the better player, but Javon Dexter, based statistically, I know there's two sides to this. We talk statistics and we talk about what our eyes see, but we know that analytics is a big part of sports now. When you look at Javon Dexter's number in comparison to Vita Vea's, they not that far off. Vita Vea had 4.5 sacks last year. Javon Dexter had a career high 6 sacks last year. Vita Vea had 16 solo tackles. Javon Dexter had 21. Vita Vea had 51 pressures, while Javon Dexter had 38. So y'all see the comparison is not that far off when you start looking at the analytical side of these two players. And according to PFF, we're taking it with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. We just using it as a reference. But according to PFF, they have Vita Vea as the 12th best defensive tackle, while Javon Dexter falls at 20. So it's not that much bigger of a drop-off. But there are a lot of questions surrounding this decision and whether the Chicago Bears should even entertain it with the way that our offseason has gone and with some of the more crucial decisions that are going to be coming down the road. It's definitely something that the Chicago Bears, I would imagine, they're not going to leave this stone unturned, because obviously this is what you get paid the big bucks for. And that's to go out there and not leave stones unturned. You struck out on the Max Crosby situation. Do you go out there and see if you can hit a home run or get on first base? However you want to draw up that analogy, and see if you can get a guy like Vita Vea. The other side to it is, what will it cost? Yeah, we could talk about all the things that we can do or the wants that we have, but it takes two to tango. We know it's not a one-way street, and this damn show ain't Madden to where we could press X and just execute the trade. These are real people that have to do real things. So while it's a really, really interesting and a fun discussion in a player that I believe line him up next to Javon Dexter will tremendously improve the inside pass rush and run stopping, because that big motherfucker is a space eater. He don't just eat up food, he eat up space in Vita Vea. And pair him next to Javon Dexter, man, that'll be a nice 1-2 punch up the middle that the Chicago Bears could tremendously use. But once again, it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. So y'all let me know how y'all feeling about it, man. I just thought it was an interesting thing. We know that the Chicago Bears have some questions as a unit on the defensive line that we're all going to try to figure out, and we're hoping that we'll see improvement. So that's why these discussions are going to continuously come up, and we're going to be right here breaking it down and discussing these type of moves, man. Let me know how y'all feeling in the comment box. That is it for me today, y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, man. We want to be a part of that mailbag episode. Make sure you pick up your phone, dial this number, state your name, leave your take. The number to do so is 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears because of you all. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you always love them Chicago Bears, man. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Chi-Town up and bet down. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.